So me and my husband have been obsessed with Wicked recently, and if you know me, all roads lead back to Britney, including the Yellow Brick Road. I can't believe I never put this together. Britney's nod to the Wizard of Oz during her Grammy performance. It's her one and only Grammy performance ever. It's a big deal. If you're new here and love Britney, hit that like and subscribe button. So Britney has only performed at the Grammys once, in 2000. She did From the Bottom of My Broken Heart and Baby One More Time. If you've seen it and remember it, you're likely realizing now that the whole performance is Wizard of Oz inspired. Now, I went searching through message boards and websites and I couldn't find anyone really mentioning that part. I even went to the Grammys official website and it just describes what literally happens in the performance. Now it says, when it starts as a dream sequence. She sings From the Bottom of My Broken Heart with the dancers dressed as flowers and then changes into a skin-tight, glittery red bodysuit, and she's then joined by some backup dancers dressed as robots. I was happy to see, though, some comments on YouTube acknowledging the nod to the Wizard of Oz, so I know I wasn't crazy. But let me show you. So it starts with her as a little girl watching an award show on TV and wishing that she could be a famous performer one day, and she then falls asleep. Now, the dream sequence begins. This, to me, is similar to Dorothy falling asleep and her dream sequence that takes her to Oz. Then Britney seemingly awakens in her dream under this huge flower. Her dancers dressed as flowers below her as she sings From the Bottom of My Broken Heart. Now to me, this whole thing seems like a nod to the poppy field scene in The Wizard of Oz where Dorothy and the lion fall asleep. And after Britney's done singing, she goes back under the flower and so begins this sort of Oz-like scene, if you will. Now listen to the sound when the robot backup dancers come out. To me, that sounds a lot like the scene in The Wizard of Oz when the soldiers are heading toward the Wicked Witch's castle. Now the backup dancers, I can't tell if they're a nod to the Tin Man or if they're a nod to the Wicked Witch's soldiers. It could be both, I'm not entirely sure. I'm also not sure exactly what the backup dancers dancing directly behind Britney are supposed to represent. If you have an idea or if you know what they are, drop me a comment and let me know because I'm really curious what you think. Now, if I had to guess what Britney is representing, I would say that her outfit is representing, or it's a nod to the ruby red slippers that Dorothy wears. Now, aside from the Wizard of Oz theme, this performance is memorable for a number of reasons, but apparently not memorable enough for ChatGPT. Look at this. So when I was doing research for this video and I was trying to verify information, I asked ChatGPT, when did Britney perform at the Grammys? To which it replied that she has never performed at the award show and that it's a surprising fact considering her iconic status in pop music. Anyhow, like I said, this performance is memorable for a number of reasons. First, it was her first and, like I said already, her only time. She was also nominated this year for Best New Artist. She did lose, though, to Christina Aguilera. But the performance itself was controversial because Britney on this one was accused of lip syncing. The ballad was totally live, but Baby One More Time is questionable. Now, I'm not going to play it here because I don't want to get flagged for copyright, but Britney would go on the defense and say that she was singing along with backup track. That excuse was part of her infamous monologue skit when she hosted and performed on Saturday Night Live in May 2000. This is also the skit where she addressed the breast implant rumors. Let me remind you, she was just 18 years old, but that is a whole other video for another time. Back to the lip syncing. So, this was clearly a PR move because if you ask me, Britney was definitely singing or leaning more toward the lip syncing with the backing track for this performance. Now, Britney performed Baby One More Time plenty of times for us to recognize when she was singing it live, when she was singing with backup track, or when she was lip syncing all together. Back then, it was also easier to quote unquote lie about lip syncing because a performance or these kind of performances for the most part were only seen once. We didn't have YouTube. We couldn't watch these performances over and over and obsess over them the way we do now. Back then, if you wanted to do that, you had to set your VCR to record. And if you don't know what a VCR is, trust me, it was just much harder to get these performances. But I always had mindset. Anyhow, my friends, but that is how Britney's only Grammy performance was a nod to the Wizard of Oz. If you like this sort of content, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. Until next time, my friends, that is it. The more you know.